You should never have found this place." That was the overwhelming feeling that gripped Ethan Johnson as his car rolled into the dense woods of Ashland, Massachusetts. The mansion, inherited from a distant relative, stood like a forgotten relic of the past, shrouded in vines and decay. Its towering silhouette loomed over the family as if daring them to enter. Ethan, his wife Clara, and their 10-year-old daughter Lily were desperate for a new start. But what awaited them inside was anything but salvation. The house breathed with an uncanny stillness. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of light seemed deliberate, calculated. On their first night, the family settled into their rooms, unaware of the invisible eyes watching their every move. The air inside the mansion was heavy and suffocating, as though the walls themselves held a grudge. As darkness fell, the silence grew oppressive, broken only by faint, distant sounds, scratches, whispers, and the faint rhythm of something alive. Within days, strange events began to unravel their sense of security. Lights would dim on their own, objects disappeared and reappeared in unlikely places, and an unshakable chill lingered in certain parts of the house. Lily, an imaginative child by nature, began humming an unfamiliar tune, a haunting melody that Ethan and Clara had never heard before. Soon after, Lily spoke of a new friend named Abigail. She claimed Abigail lived in the walls. Her voice carried through the whispers that came at night. Ethan brushed it off at first, attributing it to the creative mind of a child. But Clara could feel the weight of something darker lurking beneath Lily's words. By the third night, the knocking began. It started as faint taps, then grew louder and more insistent. It came from within the walls, sometimes from the ceiling, as though something was trying to escape. Ethan searched the house late into the night, flashlight in hand, but the source of the noise was never found. Clara's unease deepened, and the once warm home began to feel like a cold, unwelcoming trap. Ethan's discovery of the house's dark history came by chance. In the town library, buried in forgotten archives, he found records of the Whitmore family, the mansion's previous owners. The Whitmores had disappeared without a trace over a century ago. Rumors suggested they were involved in occult rituals. Their mansion was believed to be a site of dark, forbidden practices. The townspeople had avoided the property ever since, convinced it was cursed. Ethan's blood ran cold as he read accounts of neighbors reporting screams coming from the mansion long after the family's disappearance. Back at the house, Clara began having vivid nightmares. She dreamt of being buried alive, suffocating in a coffin while unseen forces laughed from above. She would wake, gasping for air, clawing at her neck, convinced it was more than just a dream. Ethan, too, felt the mansion's grip tightening. His nights were filled with restless pacing, his thoughts consumed by the whispers that now seemed to echo his name. Lily, meanwhile, grew quieter, her once bright demeanor replaced by a vacant stare. She spent hours in the attic, standing before a cracked mirror, humming Abigail's song. The turning point came one night when the whispers escalated into screams. The house seemed alive, its walls vibrating with an unearthly energy. Ethan uncovered a journal hidden behind the fireplace, a relic of the Whitmore family. The entries spoke of a malevolent entity they called the Whisperer, a being that thrived on fear and despair. The journal detailed a ritual to banish it, but the instructions were incomplete, and the consequences of failure were dire. Desperate to save his family, Ethan prepared the ritual. It required blood to seal the gateway and banish the entity. As the family gathered in the living room, candles casting flickering shadows, the house erupted in chaos. The walls bled, and disembodied hands reached out from the darkness. Abigail's laughter echoed around them, mocking their every move. The air was thick with a malevolent force, and it became clear that the house was fighting back. Ethan made the ultimate sacrifice. As the ritual reached its climax, he offered himself to the entity, hoping it would spare Clara and Lily. The house shook violently, the screams reaching a deafening crescendo, and then silence. When Clara and Lily awoke, they found themselves outside, the mansion reduced to ashes. The morning sun bathed the ruins in light, but there was no comfort in its warmth. As they walked away, Lily paused and turned back toward the smoldering remains. She smiled faintly, her voice barely above a whisper, but her words carried the weight of a promise. "She says we'll see her again.